From CGTN headquarters in Beijing, this is The Hub with Wang Guan.
Hello and welcome to a special Chinese New Year edition of The Hub on CGTN. I'm Wang Guan in Beijing. Today is Chuxi, the eve of the Lunar New Year. And I'd like to extend my warmest wishes on behalf of my entire crew for a happy Spring Festival to you all, as families and friends across China and indeed across the world come together to celebrate this very special and joyous occasion. It is also a great time for cultural discovery and, of course, making new friends. One interesting trend we've been seeing is the rise of TikTok refugees, content creators and users who've been moving away from platforms like TikTok and into the little red note hosted inside China now after the U.S. threatened to ban TikTok over national security concerns. Even though TikTok is back up now, many of them have stuck around, staying connected with their Chinese friends instead of letting the ban stop their curiosity and creativity. Now, they've been embracing the little red note, diving into the Chinese cultural traditions, including the Chinese New Year, food, and cultural life. Today, we're very excited to have some users of the little red note from the United States joining us at this hour. Please welcome Travis Pfiffer, Jeremy Barker, and Jabil McCarthy, who have been exploring Chinese culture like never before. Guys, welcome to this program, The Hub on CGTN. Jabil, let me go to you first. You said the little red note welcomed you like few platforms have. And that you've actually loved what you see about China, about the Chinese culture. Tell us about it.
Yeah, so just the overwhelming sort of kindness and friendliness that I've experienced is it doesn't feel like the internet. it's you know, I'm used to sort of insults and people being mean, and you know, you just kind of live with that, and I haven't seen one bit of that, and it's been really amazing and really humbling to see how kind people have been.
Yes, specifically, what did you see? How did you interact? What kind of people did you interact with? What functions of the little red note that really impressed you?
So people starting, you know, I think in American social media, it's really hard to get anybody to engage with you, you know, and to make comments on your posts and to, you know, to like your things and what have you. And that just started happening immediately. Like immediately people were interested, and immediately people were curious about what I was saying, and even though, like, you know, the vagaries of, you know, translation and everything else, and language barrier or whatever, I think people were really willing to overcome that, and I think everybody was really trying to like find out as much as they can and be curious, and I think that was really unusual. I've not seen that before on other platforms.
Yeah,
for sure.
What kind of content are you creating mostly?
I've done a couple of different things, but I think the thing that seems to resonate most is when people post recipes on Rednote. Like Chinese people have posted a lot of recipes, and lately they've been asking Americans to sort of try these recipes, you know, and I was like, okay, so I decided to give it a go, and I made a couple of videos of me, you know, cooking Chinese recipes that I saw online, and I have some experience with Chinese cooking. So far, I did hang xiao rou, the braised pork.
Hong xiao rou, yeah, the braised pork.
And the jidang gang, I believe is how you say it, the egg custard. Yes, and both of those, and I think it was really funny with the pork. People were like, "There's no way that a foreigner is making that. Like, no one could believe that I did it."
Oh my God, man! I want to taste your hong xiao rou and jidang gang one day. Okay, Jeremy Barker, let me turn to you. You're based in Georgia. Tell me about your experience with the little red note. What did you see? How are you interacting with locals? Did you like it?
Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, all of them, they're lousy with ads, and some of them can be pretty graphic, to be perfectly honest. And there's nothing like that on this app, and it's amazing. But other than that, it confirmed a lot of what I had already learned about China over the past few years, just trying to broaden my own horizons. And also it taught me way more than I ever would have learned just here in Georgia. we are told a lot of times in the US that, you know, China is our competitor, right? Not
Yeah.
necessarily our enemy, but our competitor. And
Yeah.
um, the thing about living in America is that competition is deadly, right? It's a lot to deal with sometimes, and you know, Chinese culture is not like that. And what has become very apparent to me is that every accusation is a reflection. So, you know, it's become very apparent to me that everything bad that we've been told about China over the years is projection from the US itself.
Well, that's really unfortunate. Hopefully, there can be more appreciation of the nuances of the cultures like you have discovered. Travis, let me turn to you. You're from the great state of North Carolina. I had the pleasure of visiting that beautiful state a couple of times, so great memories. So tell us about how you've been using and liking the Little Red Note.
Sure. I have not tried, just would share things that would make me happy or pictures of family and just hangouts. It wasn't until I posted a picture of my boy on Red Note just to get myself out there and just dive into Red Note instead of just being the user. And everybody immediately just gravitated. And in a way that it was so encouraging and welcoming to just be there that it was an amazing experience. They were welcome to China, welcome to and then they would say what city and say, come here, we'll show you around. Can't wait to see your boy. Let me pinch his face. It was a lot of
Oh man,
love and a lot of just
yeah.
curiosity. Uh and like Jay Bill and like Jeremy have stated, there was not the hate or the trolling or the constant commercial advertising. There was art, there was
Yes.
culture, there was
Yes.
humanity, there was beautiful things, there was music of all kinds. It was just an amazing experience coming from the American internet as it is.
And that's great. What aspect of the Chinese culture, as we're approaching the Lunar New Year, the Chinese New Year that is celebrated here, the way you guys celebrate Christmas and Thanksgiving, the biggest holiday of the year, what aspect of the Chinese culture did you pleasantly learn about and discover or rediscover on the Red Note?
The family gatherings, the foods, the I think the couplets and the red lanterns, those were all pretty cool to see people starting to get out for decorations. And just the common bond shared among family is with the great migration of people across the country back to their homeland or their home places. There's been plenty of people that in comments or through direct messages would often offer up, when you're in China, you're coming with me if you're here for Spring Festival. And they're offering up it as I am a part of their family. And that's a beautiful thing to
Wow.
experience.
Did they say those things to you in English or through a translation uh, device?
Both. I found it was pretty easy to use the built-in translation feature. It was also easy to use external AI. Um, it was really easy to understand the intent. Whereas I know that's been somewhat of a problem with previous generations, not understanding the intent of the translation. AI seems to have really helped that part or that aspect of the communication out substantially.
Jeremy, I saw you nodding your head a couple of times. What was your experience like when it comes to your interaction with the Chinese and then discovering of the Chinese culture?
Oh, it was beautiful. I live in an area in Georgia that doesn't have a lot of big cities or culture around it. So I've seen Chinese New Year on TV plenty of times, and I've seen it on YouTube, and I've seen it in other places online, and nothing has really immersed me in it like people offering to show me exactly what they're making, you know, with their family or telling me about their plans that they have for the Chinese New Year. It gives me an insight into it that I never would have had otherwise.
J Bill, well, what about you? Anything you've been noticing around the Chinese New Year?
Two things. One, spectacular food. The food looks absolutely amazing. We are going to try and go to, in Portland, they do a big Chinese New Year celebration. So we're going to go and try and visit that. The other thing, though, is I love like we say Happy New Year or Merry Christmas or Happy Holidays, but the way that Chinese people greet each other during the New Year is just so beautiful and so poetic. There were two things that stuck out to me. One of them was, and I unfortunately don't know how to say this in Mandarin yet. I'm learning. May all your wishes come true. I just think that's such a fantastic way to wish someone and to start a new year is just like may all your wishes come true. And then the other one was something to the effect of like may you get all of the money. And I just love that. I love that idea of how instead of just saying like Happy New Year, it's like there's specific intent about it. And I just thought that was so beautiful and so poetic.
Do you fancy any trips to China, in the next few years? Getting a visa, grab a plane ticket, and hop on the plane and come to China yourselves? Travis, let me start with you.
I've talked with my wife about it. We have already started a small fund that we're going to try to build up our savings enough to make the trip out. There's a few people that we've already communicated with that have made it very known that they expect us to visit them when we're there. And we think it would be a great culture experience for our two boys who are loving the attention that they've gotten off of Red Note. And I think there's that spark of curiosity from a childhood, learning about the history, the ancient history of China that's just been reignited within myself that I really want to come and visit and see the beauty and the technology that has made China precisely not what we were told as Americans.
Great, great. You'll be more than welcome. J Bill, any China trip expected or planned?
I think in the U.S. we tend to think of China as one thing, and it's just as diverse and just as interesting and just as varied, I think, as the U.S. or as Europe, and I think that we have this idea that it's one thing and it's so many things, and I think that's beautiful, and I would love to visit. I'm really excited about doing that.
And finally, Jeremy, what about you?
I would love to visit China. I've been talking to my wife about immigrating somewhere for the last year and a half anyway. We were originally thinking about South America. China wasn't even on my radar. But I posted some of my 3D scanning work and some of my 3D printing artwork and got a lot of comments on it and a lot of people saying, I think you do all right over here. So certainly something that I would consider.
Great. Travis, Jibil, and Jeremy, listen, you'll be more than welcome to stay in the Little Red Note. That's a personal invitation. I'll follow you guys. And of course, you're more than welcome to China one day. And happy Lunar New Year, the year of the snake, the year of 2025. Thank you so much for joining us at this hour.
Happy New Year.
An auspicious and jubilant time of the year. This is the CMG Spring Festival Gala. So, how long has this stage been here? How high can the stage go? How wide does the stage stretch? The Spring Festival Gala stage welcomes the world to join in on the feast and festivities.
Recently, the One Voice Children's Choir from the United States visited Beijing, performing soul-stirring songs at iconic landmarks such as the Temple of Heaven. Their music resonated deeply with the Chinese audience, with ordinary Chinese and indeed with people from around the world, adding a heartfelt melody the spirit of international friendship and highlighting the beauty of cultural exchanges during this time of unity and celebration. Today, we're very delighted to welcome some very special guests from the One Voice Children's Choir of the United States. Joining us are Masa Fukuda, the founder, conductor behind the choir's inspiring performances. Tanner DeWall is the CEO and artistic director of the choir, and Michelle Booth is the CEO and also artistic director of the children's choir. Welcome, my friends. First of all, Happy Lunar New Year. We're welcoming the Year of the Snake soon. Let's talk about the China tour so far. I believe Beijing is the last stop of your multi-city tour. How do you like China so far? How do you find the ordinary folks stopping and watching the choir? Which happens all the time, by the way. And how do you like the vibe here, the musical and the artistic vibe? Maybe I can start with you, Tanner.
We love it. This is our second tour there, and it's really just magical. Taking these young kids it just opens their eyes to the world, and a number of them have never even been out of the United States. So it's their first time to travel internationally. And then their first time, of course, to be to China, and their eyes are just wide and so surprised at how welcoming everyone is.
Yeah, Masa, what do you think? How do you like the reaction that you got from the Chinese audience, or just folks on the street watching you guys?
Yeah, I think one of the magic that happens on our trip, unlike any other trip, is the fact that we actually get to almost like live amongst them by visiting schools and interact with children over there, sit in the same class, eat the same food, and obviously during that time we deepen our friendship. So when the music happens, our friendship is already, and the bond is already deeper.
Yeah, it's all about making connections. Michelle, what do you think? How do you feel?
I am just amazed and humbled by people's reaction. We try to do our very best, and whenever we see people get excited about what we're doing, it's humbling and really, really exciting, because our mission is to inspire the world. And so when we get a chance to do that in a place like China, that it really hits home for us and the choir members.
Okay, let's talk about some specifics. When the choir or when the kids were singing As You Wish, 如愿, at the historic, iconic Temple of Heaven, and then people stopped and watched, and that video went viral on Chinese internet and social media. So Tanner, was it a planned moment? Because it didn't look like a planned moment. It looks like the videos were shot from a phone, from a smartphone, not a highly choreographed television crew. Tell me if I'm wrong.
Yeah, it was really spur of the moment. Michelle had a wonderful idea to sing it on that historic location. We're putting together a compilation music video of the choir singing in multiple locations on that tour, and we didn't know that anyone nearby was filming in addition to our camera crew. So it was definitely a surprise to see that get some traction on social media.
Masa, what was it like directing the kids over there, singing in Chinese for the Chinese audience? It was, the Chinese native speakers listening to them, and then still, we loved it.
Yeah, for us, it's just been like, we've been working so hard to learn the Chinese and try to make sure that our message is clear, that the Chinese people actually understand what we're singing, and so a lot of times as a director, I'm more concerned about, okay, are we conveying the message? And then all of a sudden I see the tears in people's eyes. It's pretty obvious that they're getting obviously they know the song, but our message is getting across, and that's when I realized, oh my gosh, this is happening. This is the magic, the music that transcends everything, and it's just all in live action and witnessing the miracle. And as a director, that is just one of my most rewarding moments.
Yeah, definitely. That was a very touching song, and that goes right to the heart of the Chinese. It strikes a chord in the heart of many, not just the younger Chinese, but the older generation, because this song inspires their memory of history, and then to the youngsters who, of course, interpret this song slightly differently, but still. the beautiful, beautiful scenery over there. Tanner, also share with us what are some of the other moments that really touched you in the heart during your China trip, which has been a very extended trip, taking you through multiple cities.
One thing that was really touching to me was every area that we went, we flew into a number of cities, and we were greeted by whether it was a children's choir or a youth group or some local fans. And they knew that we were coming, and they would give us gifts right away and the biggest smiles and just greet us so warmly. I felt so comfortable, so safe, and so at home everywhere we went.
Yeah, I mean, China is a country that that loves to shower our guests with gifts, and then especially.
Yes, our suitcases were very full on the way home.
I'm not super surprised. Michelle, what about you?
I will say a lot of the kids expressed. There was one city we had the opportunity to sing at a hospital, and for a lot of kids that was really special for them. And actually we sang the Heal the World song and Tomorrow Will Be Better. We do a little mashup of Heal the World, Tomorrow Will Be Better, and We Are the World. And we sang it there with some of the patients there at the hospital, and there was just a really cool feeling of being able to lift people and remind them that we all are human beings on this planet that want tomorrow to be better. And that was probably something that I think will stay with a lot of the kids and with me.
Yeah, definitely. Well, which city was it? Where was it?
That was Beijing.
That was Beijing.
Yeah.
Lovely. Well, what a lovely experience. And thank you so much, by the way, for singing to the patients there. I mean, they're going through a difficult time, I suppose. Amasa, what about you? What moments touched you throughout your China tour?
Man, there's so many moments. A hospital obviously was one of the most touching moments, but I think that for me, I think just from the get-go, when we got into Shenzhen, and we're still kind of, trying to get used to the new time zone, and we're getting warmed up into this tour, and one of the opportunities we had to collaborate with a girls' choir over there, and we sang together the Wish song, and immediately those hearts are connected, and I saw those kids just bonding. We were not even warming up to it, and then they were already just reaching out to us with such welcoming and open arms and hearts that we didn't even we normally tell the kids, you got to be very proactive in reaching out. Well, with no effort, because they did that for us, and we just felt so, like Tanner said, just so welcome from the get-go.
Very sweet, very sweet. And then, Tanner, let me circle back to you. Of course, kids, Chinese or American, they grew up in a certain society and culture. They hear about each other, through their friends, or, they read newspaper, they watch television, and there's a certain narrative going on about China, for example, about what Chinese people would be like. And then how would you compare what you hear about China or what the kids hear about China from others versus the China that they really see and experience once they get here?
Well, I will say we're fortunate in One Voice Children's Choir to have a few people that have some Chinese heritage, and our choir is made up of kids from that have backgrounds of different nationalities. So not everyone is American, and so I think one thing that I love that we do and that we've built a culture of inside the choir is being respectful of each other's backgrounds, and that's where you come from, what you believe, what you want to pursue in life, what career path you want to go in. No matter what it is, we believe in being kind and caring, and so what I do think that the tour did for these kids is it opened their hearts further to caring more about understanding and looking for news about China. Look at the amazing things that are happening over there, because it's unfortunate today that a lot of the things that make the news are sensationalized or are negative, but there's so many amazing things.
Michelle, what about you? The China that the kids discovered for real, for themselves, versus the China that they heard?
You know, I was lucky. I was able to have a few of my very own kids with me, and we spoke a lot about what we were noticing. And my 16-year-old son said, you know, Mom, I think the thing that surprises me is all of us are living the human experience. He said to me, I think we're more the same than we are different. And that, to me, as a mom, is great to hear, because I do want my kids to see that all of us here on planet Earth are more the same than we are different. Yeah. And we can celebrate each other's differences, but also unite in the things that we have in common.
Great, awesome, powerful message. Masa, what would you have to say?
For me, growing up in Japan, which seems so close to China, yet in a lot of ways it's different, right? I mean, it's kind of a stereotype when people think, yeah, there's a lot of similarities, but I just felt all these years I didn't know anything until I actually got there to really feel it for myself and experience what it's really like to be there. And I'm sorry, I get a little emotional when I talk about people in China, because I just I felt incredible amount of love from them that I never thought I would feel for anybody, in any country. I don't know if I've even gotten that much love from my own country in Japan, and I was just so humbled. And again, I just want to say to people, it's like, you know what? If you really want to know what it's like, you got to be there. You got to go and experience, and then you'll know firsthandly, like, what it's like, what the people are like, what the culture's like, the way of living, the way that they live, and what they believe in, all those things. Just you need to be there and not really base your opinion on what others say.
Beautiful, beautiful. And finally, before I let you go, it's the Chinese Lunar New Year, Year of the Snake. Any New Year's message? The Year of the Snake, which of course symbolizes vigility, vitality, and wisdom. Any New Year's message to the Chinese audience?
Have a very exciting new year, and that it's filled with as much vitality as you gave to us as we were there in your country. And Xin Yan Kuai La.
We've also prepared a music video of Wish that we'll be releasing, so we're excited to share that with you. It'll be on Bilibili soon.
Awesome. Masa?
Yeah, the Year of Snake. I kind of see snake as just like, you know, how it sheds its skin, like, you know, it's like a transformation. I really wish for everyone to try something new, and discover something new in their life that's exciting and adventurous. And I hope that in the process they'll succeed and thrive.
Awesome. Thank you all so very much for being here. And please come back to China at maybe in the summer, where Beijing is absolutely gorgeous. Come back again and come back to our show and say hello to the kids. And that's all we have for this edition of The Hub. Thank you so much for tuning in. Our news coverage continues on CGTN. Bye and Happy New Year.